You know how I always say that there ain't nobody in social media who works harder than me? Seriously, I always say there's no other farm page that you know, that you follow, that works harder than me. Guys, I don't mean just at building videos. You see the laughter, the craziness, all the antics of the animals. What you don't get to see enough of is all the work that running a farm entails. And so when I say that there's nobody who works harder than me, it's not just at the video creating, it's all around. I'll show you something. You see anyone else out here? Do you want to know why there's no one else out here? Well, Ellie's asleep. Well, Jake's asleep. Well, my dad's wide awake, but if there's work going on, not this kind of work, my dad will have nothing to do with it. Those days are over a long time ago. Dad does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. So here stands Lester. Oh, Lester, Lester, Lester. I can hear you now. You know what this is, right? This is what they always used to say in school. This is the world's smallest violin. I don't know, playing some kind of I Feel Sorry For You tune. And there's bugs in my eyes. This is what I mean by, just forget about it. You know what they say about people that brag on themselves, right? Ellie always makes this quote. He says, when you think you're good, you tell people about it. When you know you're good, you don't have to, because everyone else tells people about it. Hey folks, Lester, Jake, and Moo here. And today we start a very extensive project that's going to last the duration of, I would think, these Christmas holidays. Something we've had to do for a very long time, and today we're actually going to get our hands dirty and get started. I'm going to flip my camera around and show you what we're working on. All right, so everyone knows that my vision of Longhorn Lesters is not really coming to fruition. And we just can't wait forever for this to happen. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we spent some money. We bought some supplies, and we are going to literally come by here and redo this section of my fence. And it's going to go all the way down to the tree line. Then we're not going to stop there, because everyone knows that when you have two bulls on different sides of pastures, you have to, could you open the gate for me, Jake? You have to build two fences, and there has to be a DMZ, a demilitarized zone, if you will, in between them. And so what we're going to do is come over here on my dad's side, and we've already marked off some with our blue flags. We're going to come by and we're going to do the exact same thing over on this side. And it's going to go all the way down to, it's hard to see the tree line on this side, but it's going to go all the way down to where, well, it's going to go way on down there. It's going to make us a really strong, two very strong fences, barbed wire fences, enough to hopefully keep Tex over on his side and keep Billy and eventually Moses over on this side. This middle ground here will be kind of our DMZ, the no man's land. We're going to allow it just to kind of grow up in brush and keep all kinds of stuff growing here, so that that in itself will make kind of a deterrent from the bulls looking at each other and wanting to come by and fight. We are trying to build a new fence for my dad, and all of his babies have come over to see what's going on here. Hey, I just bought that thanks to the nice people who sent us gift cards to Tractor Supply. And I do not think I need to, don't mess with that post. I just concreted that in. That concrete is not hardened yet. I'll tell you what, hey, move. Y'all move away. Billy, go. Move, Moo. Dude, don't mess with my... Oh, God, that was close. So we're setting the corner post. Here comes Jake. We're trying to set the corner post of what's going to be my dad's new fence line. It's going to be a nice, solid, heavy-duty fence, y'all. Oh, it's going to be strong. It's going to come down through here. So strong. But the problem is getting started with all of these galoots, including that big galoot messing with us. Right on the edge here, Jake. We're trying to put up little makeshift gates. I got you, buddy. Come tamp it in, Jake, and pour some water to it. We're trying to put up little makeshift gates. Our nearest water supply is the pond way over there. So we have to get past Tex, get past Moo, get past all of these guys just to get access to water for our concrete. Everyone is so curious. They just don't quite get it. They just don't quite get what we're doing. Not yet, they don't. They will. But they will. Look at all this BS. I am trying to pull my string tight, and she has it wrapped all around her head. Guys, we're trying to work. Go. This is the problem with having friendly cows. You love when they're friendly and sweet, but not when you're trying to work, because they keep walking into the way of our progress. They're walking right into the way of our progress. So this over here is the remnants of the old fence line. Guys, there have been countless floods come through here, and a lot of what you see over here is debris that has been washed up in some of those floods. Of course, the worst of all would have been Hurricane Harvey flooding. And then we also had Tropical Storm Imelda right behind that. And so when you have so many floods coming by, and the water always flows from that direction going south toward, following, the path that water takes towards the Gulf, sometimes it can push a lot of debris up along your fences. And these old corner posts, these old H braces like my dad had here, you can see they have not held up. They just don't hold up. They do not hold up. And so over time, that debris just pushes the wiring down. The old fence post, the T-post they call them, get pushed over with the weight of the water and the debris that pushes along with it. And so what we've done is we've come down and we're putting nice big solid posts. We're gonna concrete really big, heavy posts in the ground. Here is an example of one of the H braces we built yesterday. We're using a 10-inch post, which is gonna be quite a bit heavier. We dug it 2 foot into the ground and we put a whole bag and a half of concrete in there. We H braced it off over here, did the same thing here. And we have these H braces every 100 yards. So what we're gonna do is, once we get all of the H braces done, once the H braces are all done, and then we put all of their middle post, we'll begin to pull wire tight. And then we'll come back through and put T-post in between them. And that's gonna be how we're gonna do this side of the fence. This is gonna be my dad's side. This is my dad's pasture. This here's Lester, as you've rarely seen him. No cap. I got knocked off when I picked up this timber. We're building a fence behind my dad's house. My dad has been unable to do stuff like this for a while. And so I have plans to, I'm having a hard time. I'm gonna just tell you, I'm having a hard time finding the perfect property for Longhorn Lesters. And so what I've decided to do was go ahead and invest the money and redo the fences between my dad's pasture and my Uncle Raleigh's pasture. Like I said, today we're working over on my dad's pasture. And as soon as we're done on this side, we will go over and start working on the other side. And if I'm lucky, and if this fence is strong enough, if it holds, you all will be able to see Tex for once able to come out into the back pasture, hang out with his family, graze by day, and yet not be able to get over and mess with Billy. And I said it again, if we're lucky, we're going to need a lot of things to align. A lot of stars are going to need to align to make that happen. So, back to work, folks. Back to work. I want to show you how we can tell how deep the hole is. So I'm not looking at my string. I'm looking at the 24 right here, which is level with the ground. That tells me how deep my hole is, a 2-foot hole. It has to be plenty round enough so I can fit not only the 10-inch post, but also fill it up with a bag of concrete around it. I got an email from a sweet lady who said that she and her daughter had always wanted to have a farm, and they'd been watching our channel for several years. And sorry, I'm breathing hard, but she said that she had a inheritance money, and she had held on to it for a while, and she and her daughter had decided to invest that money in a 40-acre farm, and where she's taking care of some animals. And she just said, Lester, she goes, you always say that you're here for entertainment purposes only. She goes, but you don't know, she goes, how many jobs we've done around the farm. She and her daughter. And they've modeled a lot of what they do based on things that we've done around here. And that is kind of funny because no, it's not funny about the lady. I am so touched by that. I am so touched. I was very moved. I wrote her back, and we talked for a while, and I told her how proud of her I was. And I reminded her, I said, it's going to be hard work. There's a lot of hard work. And I said, the only recognition that you get most times is that satisfaction at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, the end of the month, or in our case, at the end of 4 years since Harvey, where you can sit back and look at the way things look now compared to how they looked then. So I feel like investing in your property is something that you can never go wrong with. Even if you're the kind of person that doesn't fall in love with the actual land itself, and you decide to one day up and sell and you move, whatever you invest in your property is not a lost cause, because all of that will come back to help you later. You know, in looking around for a property, let me turn my camera off of me. As we look around for a potential, you know, Longhorn Lesters, there are so many things that I would like to find on that particular property. Obviously, I've talked about the need for a pond, because if you don't have a pond, you're going to have to go have one dug. And that's a job that a person can't do on their own unless they own the right equipment, and most people don't. If you don't have that pond, you're going to be dependent on a very reliable water source, because animals drink a lot of water a day. And if that city water is going to cost you an arm and a leg for the hundreds of gallons you're going to go through on a day, if you have a water well like we do, then you better hope that you don't have well issues, because on those days when there's no well water, not only are you without a bath or a shower, but your babies are without water. And you talk about pressure. Talk about pressure, knowing that you got babies that are thirsty and you don't know how you're going to get hundreds of gallons of water brought in. Something else about investing in your land, you know, we talk about cross fencing. And so ultimately you could find plenty of property for sale that's just wide open, and they may have it surveyed off, but there's no fences. And so that means that you'd have to not only buy that property, but then go by and dig every single hole. And depending on how much property you buy and what kind of fences you want to run, guys, that's not only is that thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's hours and hours of painstaking labor. And so of course, there's all kinds of things. If the land is wooded and you don't have the pastures that you need for grass to grow, that's a whole nother issue you have to deal with. So anything that you do, anytime that you invest into your property, as hard of work as it might be, it's always going to be a return on that investment. Now, obviously, we've had this family in our family for 150, 160 years. And so our fathers were blessed that they never had to pay a penny for it. Our grandfathers never had to pay a penny for it. And so it's always been handed down from father to son through the generations. And so ultimately, we have that kind of a blessing that we never had to actually go off and invest that kind of money in property. All we have to do is maintain it. And as you get older, it does get a little bit tougher. It does. When we came in here yesterday and I did a lot of the holes for the big post. Today, pouring all this concrete and setting the post. And it's going to take a toll. It's going to take a toll, and I'm not going to be the same Lester for the next 2 or 3 days, 4 days. If I end up doing something to my knee, then I'll hobble around for a month after this. But when all is said and done, it'll be a fence line that will be here for the rest of my life. And it will be here well into the L.E. and Lex and Jake and the Morrow boys who will eventually own this land. And you know what's scary? I'm going to turn the camera back on myself. I'll tell you what's scary is that when you don't know exactly what's to become of all of your labor. I don't think you can sit there and dwell and harp on that. Obviously, when you have been raised and you've been brought up to care for the land, it becomes a part of you. You can, I know I look horrible, friends. It becomes a part of you. And there's no way that you could ever walk away from something that is a part of you without looking back and having so many, ultimate regrets. Of course, there are situations that force you to leave. We've talked about if we ever have another flood the way we've had the last few, and it ends up taking more of our babies in our home, we would be foolish to try to rebuild again. But I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh, I was talking about the future generations, but you don't know if the Lex and the L.E. and the Jake and the future heirs of Morrow land will feel the same about it. You can get them out here with you. You can make them help you work on the fence line. You can make them help you do this, run cows here and there, haul hay, do the farm chores so they can learn how to. But I don't know what makes it to where some love it. Seriously, all of the boys know a lot of the how-to, but it's very easy to see that not everybody loves and appreciates it. All right, so in case you're wondering how this process goes, we have a little system we've rigged up right here. As Jake is pulling it along. Oh, poor Jake. He could use a tractor, but he chooses to walk. All right, look at him. Look at him over there. All right. All right, so now what we have to do is pull this first strand of wire tight. We tie it onto our tractor. We do have wire pullers. All right, go ahead, Jake, real slow. This is a very dangerous job because sometimes this wire can pop. All right, hold on a second, Jake. Let me test it out. So what I have to do is walk by and make sure that it's not kinked up anywhere, and that it's not kinked up. Sometimes it'll grab stuff on the grass or the ground, and that won't let it pull tight. I'm also checking how torque it is. I hope that torque is the right word. Torque is how taut it is. I'm pretty sure I said that right. All right, so now that we have our 4 strands of wire, what we have to do between every big solid wooden post is come by and put a couple of these smaller T-posts to keep the wire tight, give it extra support. And so there's something called a T-post driver that we can use, and we have used it in the past, but I want to show you an easier way that we discovered. And watch what Jake's going to do here with the tractor and the bucket. All right, right there. It's good. So we're just going to push it down. There. Right there, Jake. And that's one. Okay. Let's go to Little Rock, Texas. Folks, it has been a really long, hard week, but Jake and I have finished this side of the new fence. This is my dad's side of the property. This is Billy's stomping grounds. And what we've done, we got us a new gate, nice, strong fence post. We got 4 strands of barbed wire. And this thing runs down about 300 yards, all the way down to about where you see the horse over there into the little creek. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave all of this original fence line. Don't judge. And we're going to come over here and we're going to build us another one of those nice solid fences like that. And we're going to let the middle here just kind of grow up. I think they call that a hedgerow. We're going to let it grow up into just as much of this nasty, filthy stuff as what we can. And what our hope is that the 2 bulls, once we allow Tex to come back here, even if we can bring him with a couple of new ladies, which would be nice, he won't have as much of a temptation to try to get past 2 solid fences, plus the little scrap one there in the middle, plus any of this other kinds of stuff that we can get to grow up in here. I believe that once we just leave it alone and nothing can eat on it, this stuff here will just take over and grow like crazy. And that would be ideal. Anyway, it's been a busy week. Jake and I have worked our tails off. And what's neat is, I believe that, so my ultimate goal, and we won't know for a while, but my goal is that once I can come by and do the same thing on this side that we did over on that side, and I'll be able to let Tex back into this back pasture. And I think that once he realizes he can walk the fence line, he can scream and holler all he wants to, he can dig holes, but there's not going to be any way that he or Billy, either one, will be able to get by to each other. I think that we're going to go ahead and see how that works out for us for a while. If it does work out, then we'll go ahead and invest in a few females for Tex. Now, I've said it before, the thing that I don't like about that is this is not my property. And so it's one thing to let my animals graze it, and no one's ever had a problem with that. Uncle Raleigh and Aunt Joanne actually appreciate the fact that the animals keep eating it down good. But that can't last forever. And here comes trouble now. Yeah, he saw an open gate, thought he'd just take advantage of it. I don't think so, buddy. Sorry. All right, friends. I can't wait to... There we go.